Hello everyone. Today we'll be learning about the displacement and the distance traveled. So as usual, you can take out your notebook and pen and you may pause the video for making your notes wherever you require. In between the video, you'll get 2 checkpoints for conceptual practice. You may try all those questions and their answers can be verified at the end of this video. So let's initiate with the first topic, the displacement. Suppose we have the Cartesian coordinate system. Here is the x-axis, here is the y-axis, and the z-axis is coming out perpendicular to the plane of this board that I cannot draw in the air, so I am showing it bit inclined. Here is the origin of that Cartesian coordinate system. At a given moment, a particle is located at this position and coordinates are given as x initial, comma, y initial, comma, z initial. Okay. The position of this particle will be shown using this blue arrow and we call this vector to be r initial vector. Now from here, this particle takes some random path and then finally reaches, let's say, somewhere here. This is the final position of the particle. For the final position also, we can draw the vector like this and name it as r final vector. And the coordinates here are x final, comma, y final, comma, z final. Do you agree? I am drawing one more vector, the blue point to the red point, and calling that vector as del r vector. Del r vector is basically indicating the change in position. The initial position of the particle was at the blue point and the final position of the particle is at the red point. So this black vector is indicating the change in position, and this is the definition of the displacement. The word displacement, or we write it as del r vector, is basically equal to the change in position. Okay, so mathematically we can write this as del r vector is equal to r final vector minus r initial vector. I can prove it using the triangle law of vector addition. You look at these 3 vectors and you try to apply the triangle law of vector addition. What you should write? R initial vector plus del r vector should be equal to what? R final vector. Remember that. From here we can easily write that del r vector is equal to r final vector minus r initial vector. So final position minus initial position gives you the change in position, and change in position is known as the displacement. This is the perfect definition for the displacement. Now we'll be writing few important points about the displacement. Number 1, looking at the formula, we can tell it's a vector quantity. Okay. Second thing, its SI unit will be meter. The dimensional formula will be mass to power 0, length to power 1 and time to power 0. Okay. Fourth important point, this displacement can be positive, can be negative, or can be 0. Take an example. Suppose from your home you go to your friend's home, then your displacement will be taken as positive. Another example, from your home you go to the store, then your displacement will be taken as negative. And let's say if you stay at your home only, you are not going anywhere, then your displacement is 0. In vector form you will write it as null vector or 0 vector. Getting it? Or it may be happening in other way. Suppose from your home you go to your friend's home and then you return back. In that case also your displacement will be 0. So your initial position and final position, if they are same, the displacement will be 0. Getting it? Let me ask you one conceptual question. Does the 0 displacement guarantees that there is no motion? What is your opinion? The answer is no. If a particle is at rest, then you will have the 0 displacement, initial and final position are same. But if a particle moves in such a manner that finally it reaches to its initial position, then our final vector and our initial vector, they are same, and then again displacement will be 0. So by looking at the 0 displacement, we cannot say it certainly that there was no motion. Okay, let me ask you the other question. If the displacement is non-zero, can you certainly say there is motion? Think about it and post your opinion in chat box. The answer is yes. If the displacement is non-zero, it means your initial and final positions, they are different. So from your initial position, you have moved somewhere. Getting it? Okay. Next important point. Displacement is a frame dependent quantity. For example, you are sitting in a moving train and you look at your luggage which is lying beside you. How much is the displacement of that luggage with respect to you? Answer is 0. For you, the initial and the final position of that luggage over a period of time is same only. Now, I am the observer standing on the platform and I see that train passing by. Then for me, the entire train is in motion. So for me, the position of that luggage will keep on changing. I'll tell that displacement of luggage is non-zero. Who is telling a truth? Answer is both. Displacement is a frame dependent quantity. You are telling a truth in your frame as well as I am also telling a truth in my frame. Okay. Next important point. The displacement is independent of this path chosen between the initial and final position. For example, instead of this path, if you have taken another path like this and then you go back to this final point, then again for the red path, the displacement will remain same. Even if you choose another third blue path like this, something random, and then you reach here. For this blue path also, the displacement is same. Next important point, the direction of displacement will always be from initial position to final position. The word displacement means what? Change in position. Initially you are at this position, finally you reach to this position. So the displacement will always be directed from initial position to the final position. The magnitude of the displacement is the shortest distance between the initial and the final position. Next important point, if the displacement is increasing, it means you are moving away from your initial position. Increasing displacement means our final vector has a greater value as compared to our initial vector. Our final vector has a greater value. It means what? You are moving away. And another important thing, if the displacement is decreasing, it means what? You are coming closer to your initial position. Done? Note down all these important things and then we'll go further. Here is the first question. We know the initial coordinates of the particle as well as the final coordinates of the particle. Then we need to find the displacement, the magnitude of the displacement, the distance traveled by the particle as well as the shortest distance between the initial and final position. It's a simple formula based question. If you wish, you can give it a try. I am solving the things on the board. First of all, we will be writing the required position vectors. So let's do that here. The final position vector will be written as 10 I cap plus 11 j cap minus 2 k cap, and the unit is meter. Do you agree? Now the initial position vector will be indicated as Ri vector, and it will be written as 3 I cap plus 4 j cap plus 5 k cap, and the unit is again meter. First answer is then pretty simple. They are asking for the displacement. So the displacement is written as R final vector minus R initial vector. You can do the calculation very easily. 10 I cap minus 3 I cap. What is your answer? 7 I cap. 11 j cap minus 4 j cap. So it will be 7 j cap minus 2 k cap minus of 5 k cap. So it will be minus 7 k cap. Do you agree? The unit is meter. Okay. Second part, the magnitude of the displacement. If we know a vector, we can easily obtain its magnitude. Technically, they are asking this thing, mod of del r vector. Mod of del r vector we know, root of I cap coefficient square plus j cap coefficient square plus k cap coefficient square, and the unit is again meter. Done. Third part, the distance traveled. When the particle will go from here to here, you need to obtain the distance traveled. What is your answer? Think about it and post your answer in comment box. It's a simple question. The correct answer is you cannot tell the distance traveled because we don't know the path. We had the talk on the previous screen that going from initial to final position, particle might take this path, particle might take this path, particle might take some other path. Until you are sure of the path, you cannot talk of the distance traveled. Getting it? So you cannot answer this question with the given informations. Fourth part, shortest distance between the initial and final position. This we can answer. The shortest distance between the initial and final position will be the length of this straight line. Do you agree? And how much is the length of this straight line? Magnitude of the displacement vector. Magnitude of the displacement vector is already known. It should be 7 root 3 meter. Okay, it was a nice question. You note it down, then we'll be taking up few more questions. Here is the second question. A particle moves as shown here. We need to find the displacement. So you may pause the video here and give it a try yourself. I am waiting for your answers in the comment box. Okay, I am starting the solution. For solution, we are taking this direction as the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Choosing the coordinate system is up to our convenience. Okay, and then from here I am dropping a perpendicular. How much will be this length? Simple trigonometry. This is a right angle triangle. This length is 10 meter. We require the length of the base. It will be 10 meter cos 53 degree. What is the value of cos 53 degree? Do you remember? 3 by 5. So this answer will be 6 meter. Similarly, you can find this vertical length. This length will be equal to 8 meter. Calculation I am leaving to you. Do your calculations. Okay. Displacement is a vector quantity. It will have magnitude as well as the direction. First of all, I am obtaining the magnitude of the displacement. How we get the magnitude of displacement? Speak up. It is the shortest distance between the initial and the final position. And the shortest distance between the initial and final position can easily be obtained using the Pythagoras theorem. Do you agree? Okay. By Pythagoras theorem, this length will be root 8 square plus 8 square and the unit will be meter. So we can write the answer very easily now. The displacement will have the magnitude of 8 root 2 meter and the direction will be making an angle of 45 degree with the x-axis. Think about it. This side is 8 as well as this side is also 8. So for this right angle triangle, this angle will be 45 degree. See this thing, displacement is a vector quantity, so we are denoting the magnitude as well as the proper direction. Clear to everyone? Note it down. Here is the next question. There is a disk which is rolling on a horizontal surface and the bottommost point of this disk is named as P. We have to find the magnitude of displacement of point P when this disk completes the half revolution. Getting the question? If you wish, you may pause here and you can try to answer it. Okay, I am simplifying it on the board. For solution purpose, I am making the another diagram of the disk when it completes the half revolution. After completing the half revolution, the point P will reach at the top. Getting it? We know that this vertical distance is 2r and in half revolution, the center of disk will move by a distance pi r. In complete revolution, the center will move by a distance 2 pi r. In half revolution, the center will move by a distance pi r. We need the magnitude of displacement of point P, means we need this length. The shortest distance between the initial position and the final position. Getting it? And this length can easily be obtained using the Pythagoras theorem. It means our answer will be equal to root of pi r square plus 2r square. Getting it? Note it down. Then you'll be getting a checkpoint. You may try those questions for better conceptual understanding. Okay? Let's start the next topic, the distance traveled. Distance traveled is the actual length of the path traversed by the particle in the given interval of time. For example, suppose a particle goes over this path from point A to B. Then this entire length will be known as the distance traveled. Getting it? It's simple thing. Let us write few important points about the distance traveled. Number one, the distance traveled is a scalar quantity. Number two, its SI unit is meter. Number three, its dimensional formula is mass to power 0, length to power 1 and time to power 0. Number four, the distance traveled is a frame dependent quantity. For example, if we consider that train example again, you are sitting inside the train and the train is in motion. You look at your luggage. How much is the distance traveled by your luggage? If you keep on looking at your luggage, it will appear at rest. So for you, the distance traveled by that luggage is 0. I am standing on the platform and I see the train passing by the platform. Then I'll get the non-zero distance traveled for the same luggage. Understand that thing? Okay. Next important point. If the distance traveled is 0, we can certainly say there is no motion. For example, the reading of milometer was, let's say, 300 kilometers the previous day. And today also, the reading of the milometer is 300 kilometer only. It means there has been no motion. Is it clear to you? Next important thing. With the increasing time, the distance traveled can never decrease. You look at the milometer of your vehicle. As the years or the months or the days passes by, the reading of that milometer always keep on increasing only. From 300 kilometer, it will go to 301, 302, 303 with the passing time. Understand? The reading of milometer will never decrease. Okay. Next important point. The distance traveled can be obtained using this formula. In the topic velocity, we'll be doing the questions over this thing. Next important point, the distance traveled is always greater than or equal to the magnitude of the displacement. If the motion is unidirectional, means the particle is moving only in a single direction, then the distance traveled will be equal to the magnitude of displacement. For example, suppose there is a particle which is going like this. It starts here, this is the initial position, and it ends here, this is the final position. Now the distance traveled and the magnitude of displacement will be same. Getting it? If the particle turns back, then the distance traveled and the magnitude of displacement will be different. I hope you understand this thing. Last important point. The moment we start the observation, at that moment, the distance traveled by the particle is always 0. For example, I am sitting on the platform and then I watch your train. The moment I see your train, at that moment for me, the distance traveled by your train is 0 only. And then with passing time, I'll tell that train has moved by 5 meter, 100 meter, 200 meter, 500 meter, 1 kilometer, 5 kilometer. Understand that thing? Moment we start the observation, at that moment the distance traveled is always 0. Note it down. Here is the first question. It's simple one. A particle is moving along a straight line OX. So I'm making that straight line here for your reference. This is X and this is, let's say, O. Particle can move only along this straight line. The position of the particle at any moment of time is given by this function. Okay. Then we need to find the displacement as well as the distance traveled for the time interval 0 to 2 seconds. Okay. You can pause and you can give it a try. It's a simple but nice question. Post your opinion, post your answers in the comment box. Then I'll be simplifying the things. Okay, let us start the solution part. Suppose we check for t is equal to 0. T is equal to 0, this term and this term will vanish. The x will come out to be 2 meter. So I am showing that moment here. At t is equal to 0, the x is equal to 2 meter. Then we go for the next moment, t is equal to 1 second. At t is equal to 1 second, this is 1 and this is also 1. On simplifying everything, you will get what? X is equal to 6 meter. Put here 1 second, put here 1 second and try to simplify the things. Done. Now I am solving for t is equal to 2 second. At t is equal to 2 second, what will be the value of x? Put here t is equal to 2 second and then 2 second here. You will get the interesting insight. At t is equal to 2 second, the x is again 2 meter. Now can you guess the motion of the particle? From 0 to 1 second, the particle will go straight like this. And then from 1 to 2 second, the particle will return back. Getting it? Now we can answer the things. The first part was asking the displacement. How much is the displacement of the particle? For this time interval 0 to 2 second, displacement is 0, because particle started from here as well as particle is reaching back to the same location at t is equal to 2 second. Okay, initial and final positions are same, so the displacement is 0. Next part is asking us the distance traveled. What is your answer for the distance traveled? In this direction, it has traveled a distance of 4 meter, and then while coming back, it will again travel the same distance of 4 meter. So the distance traveled will be equal to 8 meter. Clear? For this example, we can say that distance traveled is greater than the magnitude of the displacement. I hope you understand this thing. Can you tell me the interval of the time for which the distance traveled is equal to the magnitude of displacement in this example? Correct. For t is equal to 0 to t is equal to 1 second, or t is equal to 1 second to t is equal to 2 second, the distance traveled is actually equal to the magnitude of displacement. You can check it yourself. For the time interval 0 to 1 second, 0 to 1 second particle is performing unidirectional motion. It's going only in a single direction. So the distance traveled and the magnitude of displacement, they are same. Getting it? It was equal to 4 meter. Or this time interval, t is equal to 1 second to t is equal to 2 second. The particle is again performing unidirectional motion. So the distance traveled and the magnitude of displacement, they are same. I hope you understand this thing. Note it down. Then we'll be taking up the second question. Here is the second question. A particle is moving 80 meter along the east and then it is moving 60 meter along the north. We need to find the distance traveled as well as the displacement. Pause the video here and give it a try and post your answer in the comment box. It's a simple question. Okay, the distance traveled is pretty simple. 80 meter plus 60 meter. So the answer will be 140 meter. Okay. And displacement is a vector quantity, so we will require the magnitude as well as the direction. So we can define the sense of directions here. Let's say this is the north and this is south. Here we define east. According to the question, particle is moving initially 80 meter along east. So what we imagine, particle starts from here and then it travels 80 meter like this. This distance is 80 meter along east. Then 60 meter along north. 60 meter along north, I am showing here like this. Do you agree? We need the displacement, which is a vector quantity which is directed from the initial position to the final position. So this red vector, this red arrow is actually the displacement. Understand? What will be the magnitude of that displacement? By Pythagoras theorem, you can tell that, as well as you can tell this direction using the trigonometry. Suppose this angle is theta. How much is tan theta in this triangle? Speak up. Tan theta is equal to 60 divided by 80. So tan theta is equal to 3 by 4. It indicates that theta is approximately 37 degree. Done. And this length you might have obtained using the Pythagoras theorem. The red length will come out to be 100 meter. So I am writing the answer for the displacement. It is equal to 100 meter. And the direction is almost 37 degree north of east. See how to write it. 37 degree we are turning towards the north. And from which direction we are turning? From east. So 37 degree north of east. Clear? The same answer can be written in another way. You can write it as 100 meter 53 degree. This angle is 53 degree. Almost 53 degree. Okay, for calculation purpose, you can take it equal to 53 degree. 53 degree, you have to turn toward the east direction of north. This is the answer. Okay. Ask if you have any doubt. Fire up the chat box. I'll reply. Note it down. Then we'll be taking up question number 3. The third question is similar to the previous one. If you wish, you can give it a try. I'm simplifying the things here. The distance traveled, as usual, is the simplest part. It will be equal to 10 plus 8 plus 6 meter, which is equal to 24 meter. No doubt in that. Then we go for the displacement. It's a vector quantity, so we need the sense of directions. This is the north and here is the east. Along the north, let's say we define the j cap unit vector. Along the east, we define the I cap unit vector. Question says particle is moving 10 meter along the east. Suppose the particle starts here from O, the origin. 10 meter along the east means like this. Then 8 meter along north. 8 meter along north is like this. And then 6 meter upwards. If north and east are lying in this plane, then where will be the upwards? It will be perpendicular to this plane. Upwards will be actually in this direction. Getting my point? If north, east, south, west, they are lying in the plane of the board, then upwards and downwards will be perpendicular to the plane of the board. So in upward direction, you can consider the unit vector to be k cap. It means the displacement we should write as 10 I cap plus 8 j cap plus 6 k cap meter. I cannot draw the k cap here in the air. You need to imagine this is the upward direction, and in this direction we have the unit vector k cap. So how the particle moves? 10 meter along I cap, 8 meter along j cap, and then 6 meter along the k cap. Getting it? So the displacement vector from the origin will be directed somewhere like this in 3-dimensional space. Fine. Note it down. Then we'll go for the fourth question. Here is the next question. This is the starting point and this is the ending point. Ram moves along a semicircle while the Shyam moves along a straight line. Here is the center of the circle. Okay. The radius of this circle is given as r. Now we need to find the distance traveled by the Ram, the distance traveled by the Shyam, the displacement of both Ram and Shyam, as well as the magnitude of displacement. Getting the question? Simple one. Pause the video and try to answer it yourself. I am doing the calculations. The first part is pretty simple. The distance traveled by Ram, you can easily tell the length of the actual path traversed and length of this semicircle is pi r. Next is the distance traveled by Shyam. Shyam is moving over this straight line and length of that straight line will be 2r. Next part is the displacement of Ram. Can you answer? Displacement is a vector which is directed from initial to final position. So that vector will have the magnitude 2r and the direction will be along I cap. So this is the displacement of the Ram. Then the displacement of Shyam is also 2r I cap. For Shyam, this is initial position, this is final position, and displacement vector is directed from the initial towards the final position. We had the talk that displacement is independent of the path chosen between the initial and final position. Here initial and final position has been fixed. Now you take up this path or you take this path or you take any other random path. The displacement will always remain same. And the last part, now everyone can tell the magnitude of displacement of Ram is 2r. The magnitude of displacement of Shyam will be 2r only. Okay, pretty simple question. Note down the answers, then we'll go further for the fifth question. Here lies the fifth question. A particle goes from initial position to the final position as shown here. Then we need to answer the distance traveled as well as the magnitude of displacement. Pause here and try to post your answer in comment box. Simple question. The distance traveled will be the length of this path and it is lying on a circular track. So the length of this arc will be actually equal to r theta. Getting it? And the magnitude of the displacement will be equal to 2r sine theta by 2. How? Pay attention. Let's say this angle is theta. Somewhere here is the initial position and here is the final position. We know that how the displacement vector will get directed straight from initial to the final position. So this is the displacement vector. Do you agree? Now I'm dropping a perpendicular from here. This perpendicular will bisect the displacement vector. This angle is theta by 2. This distance is r as well as this radius is also r and this angle is theta by 2. These two right angle triangles are symmetrical. Okay. Now let us try to obtain this much length. Can you obtain? This much length will be r sine theta by 2 and same is with this also. This is also r sine theta by 2. So r sine theta by 2 plus r sine theta by 2. The answer will be 2r sine theta by 2. Clear? Note it down. I hope you understand how this is r sine theta by 2. In this triangle, you take the value of sine theta by 2. Then you will automatically get this unknown side, which is required. Okay. Even then, if you are not getting, I am showing that here. Let's say this angle is theta by 2. This is r. This side is unknown. This length. Okay. How much is sine theta by 2? Sine theta by 2 will be this unknown length divided by r. So that unknown length will be equal to r sine theta by 2. Similarly, this unknown length will also be r sine theta by 2. That's why 2r sine theta by 2. Done? Let me ask you a question. Suppose we have a circle and let's say this angle is 120 degree. A particle goes like this over the highlighted path, over the darkened path. Radius is r. Can you tell me how much is the magnitude of the displacement of this particle? Here is the final position. This was the initial position. Particle travels an angle of 120 degree. Particle moves over that arc. Radius of the circle is r. How much is the magnitude of displacement of that particle? Just put the theta here as 120 degrees, simplify it, you'll get your answer. I hope you get it. Another question. Suppose the particle completes the circle, starts here and then reaches back here. How much is the magnitude of displacement? If you complete the circle, the angle theta will become 360 degree. 360 degree divided by 2, 180 degree, sine 180 degree will become 0. Magnitude of displacement will become 0. And it must be, if you complete the circle and reach back to the same position, then your initial and final positions are same. And if the positions are same, the displacement is null vector or 0 vector. So the magnitude of the null vector or 0 vector will be 0 only. Getting it? Now can you answer for the other situations? Whether the particle covers a quarter circle or covers an arc like this. I hope you get it. Note it down. Then we'll be taking up question number 6. Here is the next question and it's an important one. Many students usually answer the wrong things. So you need to pay attention. This is the initial point. Particle travels 3 meter, then takes a 90 degree turn and then travels 4 meter and then goes 5 meter, and this is the final point. You need to find the distance traveled as well as the magnitude of displacement. It's a super question. So you may pause the video here and give it a try yourself. Simple but very good question. I'm waiting for your answers in the comment box. Actually, the distance traveled part is pretty simple. The distance traveled is 3 plus 4 plus 5 meter, which is equal to 12 meter. Everyone got the correct answer? Simple one. This is the important part. How much is the magnitude of the displacement? The correct answer, shall I write it first? Speak up. What is your answer? Speak it louder. It should be audible to me. The correct answer is 7 root 2 meter. If you got this, I appreciate you. And if you are not getting this, have patience, try to learn the things. If you thought 10 meter as this answer, that is absolutely wrong. First, I'll talk about that 10 meter thought. Few people think 3 and 4, and then Pythagoras theorem, this is 5 meter, that is 5 meter, and then 10 meter. That's not the concept. The concept says the magnitude of displacement is what? Shortest distance between the initial and final position. What is the shortest distance between the initial and final position? For that, you need to draw a straight line like this. Getting my point? This straight line will give you the shortest distance between the initial and final locations. Is it clear? Now you need the length of this straight line, and that can be obtained very easily. First of all, I'll try to obtain this length, and then we'll try to obtain this length also. We'll complete the right angle triangle here. See, this is 5 meter. The 5 meter length will have this horizontal component. How much? 5 sine 37. Do you agree? Sine 37 degree is how much? Almost. How much is sine 37 degree? 4 by 5. So on simplifying this, it will be 4 meter. Getting it? This distance from here to here is already known. This distance is 4 meter, then this one is also 4 meter. Now you require this remaining length. This remaining length is actually 3 meter. You remember that triangle, special triangle. If you have a right angle triangle like this, angle here is 37 degree, angle here is 53 degree, this side is 5. Then for 53 degree, what was the trick? 5, then this side should be 3. This side is 4. If this side is 4, then this is also 4. If this side is 3, then you get all the required data. This length is actually 7 meter. This vertical length is also 7 meter. Then the shortest distance between the initial and final position will be 7 root 2 meter. It's a brilliant question. I hope you understood the concept. Okay. Let's enjoy the next question. You note down this one. I'll bring the question on the same format. Here is the 7th question, similar to the previous one. A particle starts here and then moves on such a path and finally reaches to this point. We have to find the distance traveled as well as the magnitude of displacement. You can pause the video here and give it a try. This is also a nice question. So the first part, the distance traveled, is pretty easy. We have to sum up all these distances. So 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 meter. Do the calculation. How much is this? It comes out to be 52 meter. Okay. Now the magnitude of the displacement. We know the definition. Magnitude of displacement means the shortest distance between the initial and final position. For shortest distance between the initial and final position, I'll do the construction like this. Do you agree? This is the shortest distance between the initial and final position. In order to obtain this distance, we will construct a triangle, right angle triangle. See, this length is how much? This much length. You can easily tell. This total is 5 meter, then this is 3 meter. So this remaining should be 2 meter. Similarly, what about this vertical length? This much. We know that this total was 9 meter and this is 7 meter. So this gap is also of 2 meter. Is it okay? How much is this length? I'll mark it here. This much. This length. How much is this length? From here to here. This length can be easily obtained. Think about it. It will be 2 meter. How? Calculation is pretty simple. If we focus over this length, it can be obtained very easily. This is 6 meter and this was 4 meter. So from 6 meter, if you subtract the 4 meter, this will be 2 meter, and the same 2 meter length will be here, and the same 2 meter length will be here. Do you agree? Okay. Out of 10 meter, this total length, we know that this much is 8 meter. Getting it? This is 8 meter, then this remaining is also 2 meter. So I am marking that remaining distance also. This distance is also 2 meter. Now we can easily tell this distance. The answer will come out to be 4 root 2 meter. I hope this time everyone got the correct answer. Okay. Simple thing. The side of this triangle, this one is 4, this one is 4, and we needed that red side. By Pythagoras theorem, that comes out to be 4 root 2. Okay. And the unit is meter. Done. Taking up the next question, the challenger question of this video, the opening question of this video. So you note down up to here, then we'll go to the next screen. Now it's time to discuss the challenger question of this video. There is a room having the length 8 meter, width 6 meter, and the height 4 meter. And an insect wants to move from this corner to the diagonally opposite farthest corner. Okay, we have two conditions. In the first condition, the insect can fly, and in the second condition, the insect cannot fly. What are your answers? Pause the video and give it a try. It's a simple but nice question. Your answers for the second part as well as the first part, post them in the comment box. Okay, I'm starting the solution. The first part of solution is pretty easy. When insect can fly, it can directly go in the air to the farthest opposite corner. Getting it? In that case, the distance traveled will be equal to the length of the diagonal, and which will be equal to root of 8 square plus 6 square plus 4 square meter. I hope you all understand this thing. If you wish, you can simplify it further. Okay. The second case, the insect cannot fly. In this case, there are how many possibilities to go from here to there? Think about it. Actually, there are infinite possibilities. The insect can move on this surface, the front surface of the room, and then insect can go like this, insect can go like this. I'm drawing few paths, such as insect goes like this. The same insect can go like this. Getting my point? The same insect can go like this. So there are many choices available. There are many paths available. The same insect can go over like this. Insect can go like this. Now we need to choose the path over which the insect will travel the least distance, the minimum distance. How to do that? One way is the maxima, minima. You define a function of the distance traveled and you try to minimize that. That will be a bit time consuming, but you'll get the answer. To the brilliant students, I recommend to do that thing. The smarter choice is to imagine this thing, and for imagination purpose, I am bringing up a box. You can see that sweet box. Okay. Now I am marking the 2 points in which we are interested. So let's say this is the first point. This one, I think you can see it clearly. And the other point is here at this location. Let me mark, then I'll show them again. We have 2 points in 3-dimensional space. One is here and other is here. With moving fingers, you can see that. Getting the 2 points, insect want to move from here to this point to this point. Now insect can crawl up like this and then go along the surface. Insect can go here, here, and then reach to that point. There are numerous possibilities. I am showing you the 2 points again. Focus here, these 2 points. There are infinite possibilities. For the shortest distance, we can play a trick. The trick is simple. From this point, I'll straight connect this point. Pay attention. From this point, I'll be straight connecting this point. How that can be done? Let us see it here. Suppose this was the point of interest as well as this was our point of interest. Okay. And the dimensions are known to us. The height was 4. This length was 8. And this was 6. Do you remember? Then how the diagram will look like if you want to connect these 2 points straight? Think about it. For the second part, the diagram will look like this. This is one point. This is another point. This height here is 6. And then this is 4. I hope you can see the things clearly. We want to go from this point to this point. Okay. And this length is 8. We want this straight distance from here to here. This is our target. And for this straight distance, now you can use the Pythagoras theorem. I hope you understand the things. I am repeating the data again. This side length is 6. So this is 6. This height is 4. So this is 4. And this is 8. This length is 8. So here is 8. I am doing the calculations now. Closing the box and putting it aside. Your required answer will be equal to root of 8 square plus 6 plus 4 whole square meter. You can simplify it further. Simple but very interesting question. You can try this in many other ways, but that box approach is a bit intuitive. You can note it down up to here. Here is the next question. There are few graphs on the board and we need to determine which of them are wrong and why. Here D indicates the distance traveled and T indicates the time, and we are starting the observation at t is equal to 0. So if you wish, you can pause the video and you can give them a try. These are nice questions. Many times students answer them wrong. So you need to be very careful. If you have watched the entire video very carefully, I hope all your answers will be correct. Okay, I am waiting for your answers in the comment box. I hope you are done with your calculations. So I am starting the explanation part. We start the observation at t is equal to 0. The moment you start the observation, how much is the distance traveled by that object? It must be 0. For example, suppose I am out of the camera frame. Might be I am not visible to you at this moment. Okay, then I am coming into the camera frame. Suppose you observe me at this moment. How much is distance traveled exactly at this moment for me? You will say 0. Now this is t is equal to 0 for you. Okay. And after this moment, if I travel some distance, you can measure that distance traveled. But when you start the observation at that moment, distance traveled by me according to you must be 0. Although before that moment I have traveled a lot, but you cannot see that distance traveled. Getting my point? Moment you start the observation, at that moment the distance traveled will always be 0 for the particle. So the first graph at t is equal to 0, the distance traveled is non-zero. When you are starting the observation, the particle must have the zero distance traveled. That's why this graph should be wrong. Might be few of you people have thought that this is a correct graph. It's not correct. Okay, second graph. T is equal to 0. When we start the observation, the distance traveled by the particle is 0. That is fine. But this graph has other issue. You can check this moment of time, let's say. At this moment of time, particle has this much distance traveled as well as this much distance traveled. At a given moment of time, can a particle have two different values of the distance traveled? No, it's not feasible. That's why this graph is wrong. There is another error in this graph. As the time is increasing here, the distance traveled is decreasing. And for a moving particle with the passing time, the distance traveled can never decrease. Okay, so this is wrong. What about third graph? This is also wrong. At t is equal to 0, when we start the observation, the distance traveled must be 0, and which is not happening in this graph, so it's wrong. How many of you thought it correct? Actually, it's wrong. Getting my point? Okay, this one. This graph is correct. Okay, because at t is equal to 0, when we start the observation, the distance traveled is 0, and then with the increasing time, the distance traveled is continuously increasing. It's fine. Next graph is wrong. If you look at this part of the graph, as the time is increasing, the distance traveled is continuously decreasing for a moving particle, which is not possible. So this part of the graph is wrong. That's why we are marking a cross here. This graph is wrong. Okay. Next graph. T is equal to 0. The moment we start the observation, the distance traveled by the particle is 0. This is fine. And then distance traveled by the particle is increasing. This is perfect. T is equal to 0. The distance traveled is non-zero. Wrong. T is equal to 0. The distance traveled is 0. But as the time is increasing, the particle is traveling negative distances. Can you travel the negative distances? Can the distance traveled be negative? No, distance traveled is always non-negative. So this graph is wrong. Similarly, this graph is also wrong because at t is equal to 0, we have non-zero distance traveled. Next graph, t is equal to 0, the distance traveled is 0. But there is issue in this part of the graph. As the time is increasing here, you can see the data for the distance traveled is continuously decreasing, and at some moment of time, distance traveled by the particle becomes 0. For a moving particle, initially they are telling that distance traveled is increasing and then distance traveled is decreasing. This part is wrong. With the passing time for a moving particle, the distance traveled will always increase but can never decrease. Okay. Moving to the next graph. Here, t is equal to 0, the distance traveled is 0. Then it increases for some time and later on the distance traveled becomes constant. This graph is perfect. This graph is wrong because here distance traveled lies in the negative side. Distance traveled can never be negative. Looking at this graph, this is also wrong. Here the distance traveled goes into the negative side, which is not possible. As well as if you look at this part of the graph, as the time is increasing, the distance traveled is decreasing. Continuously the data for distance traveled is decreasing in this part, which is also wrong. This graph is also wrong. T is equal to 0. The distance traveled is non-zero. Here the distance traveled goes into the negative part also, which is again wrong. So there are errors in this graph. Look at this graph. At a given moment of time, the particle has two different distance traveled. At a given moment of time, a particle can have only a single value of the distance traveled. So this graph is wrong. There are few other errors also in this graph. You try to determine that. Moving to this one, look at this part of the graph. As the time was increasing, the distance traveled is continuously decreasing, which is wrong. So this graph is wrong. Look at this graph. At a given moment of time, we have infinite values of the distance traveled. Is it permissible? No. Next graph is also wrong. This graph is also wrong, as well as this graph is also wrong. You try to determine their issues. For example, if you take the moment of time here, then this particle has this much distance traveled as well as this much distance traveled. At a given moment of time, we cannot have two different values of the distance traveled. Getting my point? So, how many of you got all correct answers? Let me know in the chat box. I appreciate you. And if you got all wrong answers, even then I appreciate. You will learn in that process. Making mistakes is a part of learning. So be happy. You note down this one, then we'll go further. Here comes the last question. Same pattern as the previous one. We start the observation t is equal to 0. D here is the distance from the starting position. And you have to figure out which of the given graphs are wrong. Pause the video and give your best shot. I hope this time you will get all answers correct. This is also an interesting question. I am waiting for your answers. Okay. The distance from the starting position is always non-negative. For example, there is some starting position. Let's say you indicate the starting position here. Then distance from the starting position can be 0 or can be positive. Distance from starting position can never be negative. You get my point? So note it down first. The distance from the starting position is always non-negative. If you understand this statement clearly, you can easily answer all these questions. First, the distance from the starting position is positive and that is allowed. So this is correct graph. Getting my point? Now look at this one. At a given moment of time, can particle be at two different distances from the starting position? That's not feasible. This graph is wrong. Next graph. The distance from the starting position is continuously increasing. From the starting position, particle might be moving continuously away. So the distance will keep on increasing continuously. This graph is correct. Look at this graph. T is equal to 0 when we start the observation. The distance from the starting position is 0. It means particle is starting from the here origin only. And then as the time is increasing, the distance is continuously increasing. It means particle is continuously moving away from the origin. This graph is correct. Okay. In this graph, little bit part of the graph is going into negative. And distance from origin or the starting position cannot be negative. So this graph is wrong. Focus here. There is a little bit part in the negative side. Okay. Distance is always non-negative. Look at this graph. This is correct one. There is no issue. T is equal to 0. The distance from the origin is 0 and then the distance is continuously increasing. It's fine. This graph also has the issue. The distance from the origin cannot be negative. This is wrong. This graph also has the same issue. This graph also has the issue. Getting it? This graph also has the same issue. The distance from the origin cannot be negative. So this is also wrong. Okay, look at this graph. This is correct. This graph has the issue. It is wrong. This graph has the issue. It is wrong. This graph has the issue. At a given moment of time, the particle is at two different distances from the origin. Is it permissible? Nope. So this graph is also wrong. How many of you got all correct answers this time? Let me know in the comment box. This question was also interesting one. So from my side, this is all about this video, and now there will be checkpoint number 2, and after that you'll get the answers of all the checkpoints. Take care, stay awesome. I hope you are enjoying the learning.